Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. My name is Nufariza Adira binti Abdul Hadi and now I am going to do an online presentation for my lecturers, Datuk Nurzaini and also Dr. Farida. So in this online presentation, I am going to explain about my study. Okay, so the background of the study. Motivation and attitude provide primary impetus to initiate learning language and later becoming the driving force sustain the long and often tedious learning process. This is by Origlo and Mahidi in 2011. So from this statement, we can see that motivation and attitude are actually two important factors in contributing to the success of language learning. So, lack of attention to these factors can lead to inefficiencies in learning language. We move on to the statement of the problem. A persistent problem faced by many English teachers is the attempt to sustain genuine interest in learning English. So, if we say about interest, we can see that from the aspect of attitudes and also the motivation. So, it is becoming a problem for the teachers to instill a positive attitudes and also a good motivation for the students in learning the language, because teachers tend to ignore the importance of factors such as positive self-concept, high self-esteem, positive attitude, clear understanding of the goals for language learning, continuous active participation in the language learning process, and the relevance of a conducive environment that could contribute to the success of language learning. This is by Hussein Ma'aruf and Dikrus in 2000. Move on to the rationale of the study. Because motivation is one of the major factors affecting second language learning, Basie in 2008 and Rayman in 2001 stated that motivation has been widely accepted as a key factor which influences the rate and success of second or foreign language learning. So here we can see the importance of the motivation, as it has been widely accepted as a key factor that influences the success of language learning. So language attitude is an important concept because it plays a key role in language learning and teaching. According to Pan Zhang and Wu in 2010, a successful learner is the one who possesses positive attitudes towards the target language. Thus, by investigating the attitude and motivation of students towards English, it will help the teachers to sustain a genuine interest in learning the language. So it's important for us to know what are the attitudes and motivation, or at what levels are the attitudes and motivations towards English learning, because we need to know, because if the attitudes and motivations are not at the good level, we might do something to increase the levels to improve their performance in English. Move on to the objectives of the study. Okay, to investigate the language attitudes of UKM's undergraduate students towards learning of English language, and also to investigate the language learning motivation of UKM's undergraduate students towards learning of English language. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I am interested to get to know what are the attitudes and what are the motivation of the students towards English learning. As for the research questions, I have two for this study, which are what are the language attitudes of UKM's undergraduate students towards learning of English language, and also what are the language learning motivation of UKM's undergraduate students towards learning English language. In the literature review sections, I'm going to talk about the concepts and theories of attitudes and also motivation. As for the attitudes, according to Smith in 1971, an attitude is a relatively enduring organization of beliefs around an object or a situation, predisposing one to respond in some preferential manner. An attitude is relatively enduring because it can be learned and it can be unlearned. Attitude is regarded as one of the key factors that contribute to L2 learning environment achievement. This is by Spolsky in 1969. So we can see here that attitude is something that is important to language learning. As for the motivation, according to Bandura in 1977, Motivation is generally acknowledged as important in second language learning. It is classified into two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation, commonly associated with integrative orientation, refers to the desire to perform an action without external inducement or reward. Hammer in 1991 explains the meaning of motivation as the internal drive that pushes somebody to do something. So motivation is very important for someone in language learning, because if one has no motivation, one will not going to do anything in order to master the language. In the section of methodology, the research design that I'm going to use for the study is survey research, using a quantitative survey, quantitative method. Okay, the population is the UKM's undergraduate students, while the sample are 100 UKM's undergraduate students, which will be selected using stratified sampling. The instrument that I'm going to use for the study is questionnaires. The questionnaire is adapted by Gardner's 1985 from his attitude and motivation battery test. So I am going to adapt from that questionnaire, and I'm going to have 25 questions, which will be divided into 3 sections. Section A will be the demographic information, Section B will be the attitudes, and Section C will be the motivation. So based on my explanation just now, so this is a brief overview about my study. So I think that is all from me. Thank you.